Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. When God is about to hand you something big, I mean life-changing, purpose-defining, destiny unfolding, he doesn't just drop it out of the sky. No, he leaves signs. But the problem is most people miss them because the signs don't always look like blessings. Sometimes the signs look like struggle. Sometimes they look like waiting. Sometimes they look like doors slamming shut. But if you've got the eyes to see, you'll know God is setting the stage for something you can't even imagine. When God is about to give you something big, the first thing he will always do is prepare you for it. You see, God is not in the business of handing out blessings that you're not ready to handle. He's not going to place a heavyweight crown on an unsteady head. And too many people are asking God for elevation, for abundance, for next level opportunities, but they don't realize the preparation has to come first. The preparation is the proof that the promotion is on the way. Think about it. Every great man and woman of God, every story of breakthrough you've ever heard starts with a season of preparation. David was anointed to be king as a young man, but he didn't step onto the throne the next day. No, God sent him back to the sheepfold, back to obscurity, back to the field where nobody was applauding him. Nobody was recognizing him. Nobody was celebrating him. Why? Because the field was his classroom. The field was where he learned how to fight the bear and the lion. So that when Goliath stood in front of him, he wouldn't flinch. When God is preparing you, it might feel like nothing is happening. It might look like you've been forgotten, but in reality, God is working behind the scenes, building your strength, refining your character, developing your endurance, and maturing your faith. You cannot carry a big blessing on small shoulders. God stretches you in the preparation season so you can stand under the weight of the blessing when it arrives. Preparation isn't glamorous. Preparation isn't comfortable. Preparation can be lonely, confusing, and sometimes even painful, but it is necessary. Just like a seed planted in the soil, before it ever breaks the surface, it has to develop roots underground. If you don't allow the roots to grow deep, the moment the wind blows, the plant will topple over. And the same is true for us. God allows us to sit in that hidden place, in that quiet place, sometimes in that dark place, so that our spiritual roots can grow deep enough to support the fruit he's about to produce in our lives. So don't despise the season where it feels like you're being overlooked. Don't get bitter when you're stuck in the shadows. Don't grow weary when the door hasn't opened yet. God is more interested in your development than your convenience, because when the moment comes, when the opportunity arises, when the blessing shows up at your doorstep, he wants you to be ready, not scrambling. He wants you to stand in confidence, not question your worthiness. It's during preparation that God teaches you how to handle what you've been praying for. He teaches you how to manage success, how to remain humble in the spotlight, how to stay faithful in the face of temptation, how to discern his voice above the noise. The worst thing that could happen is to receive something too soon and be unprepared to keep it. So God, in his mercy, holds back what you've asked for until the version of you that can handle it is fully formed. So if you're in a waiting season, don't lose heart. Preparation is not punishment, it's protection. It's proof that God is setting you up for something bigger than you can even imagine. And when the time is right, and when the preparation is complete, he will release the blessing and you'll be ready to walk in it with boldness and wisdom. When God is about to give you something big, one of the clearest and often most uncomfortable signs is disruption. God will begin to shake things up in your life, not because he wants to break you, but because he needs to break you free from everything that can't go with you into the next season. When God is preparing you for something new, he first has to make room for it, and that almost always means he's going to disturb what's become too familiar, too small, or too comfortable. Disruption isn't random. It's heaven's way of telling you that your current situation cannot contain the blessing that's coming. Sometimes you'll see relationships shift. People you thought would be with you forever suddenly start drifting away or even turning against you. Sometimes the job you once loved becomes a place of frustration. Doors that used to swing wide open now start slamming shut. The things you once relied on for security start crumbling. And in those moments, your natural instinct is to ask God, why is this happening to me? But the real question is, God, what are you making room for? You see, before God elevates you, he shakes you. Before he promotes you, he prunes you. Just like a gardener cuts back healthy branches so that a tree can bear even more fruit, God removes people, positions, and patterns from your life that are no longer serving your growth. It's not personal, it's purposeful. Because the blessing he has planned for you will require more strength, more maturity, more focus, and more space than the season you're standing in right now can handle. I've lived through this in my own life. There have been times where everything that once felt stable was suddenly flipped upside down. At first, I thought it was a setback. I thought it was the enemy trying to derail me. But the more I prayed, the more I realized this isn't the enemy working against me. This is God working for me. And disruption isn't just external, it's internal too. God will disturb your spirit. He will stir a holy discontent in you. You'll start to lose your peace in places where you've settled for too little. Things that used to satisfy you will no longer fill the void. Your dreams will start to stretch. Your vision will start to grow, and suddenly you'll find yourself restless in a place where you used to be comfortable because God is trying to push you out of your old season and into your new one. So when your life feels like it's falling apart, I want you to understand it might just be falling into place. When the ground under your feet feels unsteady, it might be because God is shifting you to higher ground. Disruption is not the end, it's the evidence that something bigger is coming. It's the sign that God is preparing to do what eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and minds have not imagined. And if you can endure the disruption, you'll be ready to step into the destiny he's designed just for you. When God is about to give you something big, one of the unmistakable signs you'll start to notice is that unusual doors begin to open. Not the kind of doors you can push open on your own strength. Not the kind of opportunities you can network your way into or hustle hard enough to reach. I'm talking about doors that don't make sense on paper. I'm talking about situations where the odds were against you, but somehow the way was made. That's when you know the hand of God is moving on your behalf. You see, when God is setting you up for a blessing beyond your ability, he will open doors that your resume couldn't reach, your qualifications couldn't justify, and your experience couldn't prepare you for. That's the beauty of favor. It defies logic. It overrides human limitation. And it's not based on who you know, but whose you are. When God decides it's time for you to walk into something bigger, the doors that once seemed locked will swing wide open. And the doors you never even noticed before will suddenly become clear. I've seen this in my own life and in the lives of so many others. People who had no earthly reason to expect a breakthrough suddenly found themselves standing in front of opportunities they never saw coming. The job offer that was out of reach, the connection that came out of nowhere, the promotion that bypassed the expected candidates and landed in the hands of the least likely one. That's not coincidence. That's God making it clear, when I open the door, no man can shut it. But the thing about these doors is they require faith to walk through. God will show you the way, but you have to have the courage to step in. And sometimes those doors won't look like you expected. Sometimes the opportunity will be wrapped in challenge, disguised as a risk, or delivered in a package that forces you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. But that's the beauty of walking by faith. You don't have to see the full path. You just have to recognize the open door and trust that the one who opened it will walk through it with you. Now here's the powerful truth. When God starts opening these doors, he's not just making a way for you. He's making a statement to everyone watching your life. He's letting the world know that what is for you cannot be earned, stolen, or blocked. It's been assigned to you, ordained for you, and sealed by him. And once you walk through it, no one can take it away. So when you start seeing unusual doors open, the ones you can't explain, the ones you didn't force, know this: God is orchestrating something bigger than you can imagine, and he's inviting you to step into a season that only he could prepare for you. Your job is not to question the door, but to trust the God who opened it. Because when he opens with purpose, and when he leads with intention. And what's waiting on the other side is always greater than anything you had to leave behind. When God is about to give you something big, you can almost guarantee that resistance will intensify. The moment you are standing on the edge of breakthrough, the enemy will do everything in his power to push you back. You see, resistance is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It's often the clearest confirmation that you're right where you need to be. It's the tension before the triumph, the pressure before the promotion, the warfare before the win. When God starts moving you towards something greater, don't expect the journey to be easy. The enemy doesn't bother people who are going nowhere. He doesn't waste energy trying to block what isn't a threat to his agenda. But the moment you start stepping into alignment with God's purpose, the moment you start walking by faith and not by sight, the resistance shows up. Obstacles appear. Delays happen. People turn against you. Doubt creeps in. Your strength gets tested. Your patience wears thin. But this is not the time to back down. This is the time to stand your ground. Because resistance means you are getting close. Look all throughout Scripture and you'll see this pattern over and over again. Before the children of Israel could enter the promised land, they had to face giants. Before Daniel saw God shut the mouths of lions, he had to be thrown into the den. Before Jesus walked out of the tomb, he had to go through the cross. Resistance is part of the process. It's the pressure that shapes you, strengthens you, and refines you so that when you do receive the blessing, you're prepared to carry it. And the resistance isn't always external. Sometimes it shows up inside of you. Fear will rise up trying to convince you that you're not ready. Insecurity will whisper that you're not worthy. The past will try to remind you of every failure and every shortcoming, hoping to make you too paralyzed to move forward. But let me tell you, the enemy's greatest weapon is not your circumstances, it's your mindset. If he can't stop what God has prepared for you, he'll try to convince you to stop yourself. But resistance is also a sign that heaven is backing you, because while the enemy is trying to wear you out, God is using the same resistance to build you up. Every battle you face on the way to your blessing is sharpening your faith, increasing your endurance, and reminding you that the strength you need does not come from your own power, but from the one who called you. Resistance is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's the place where God proves himself faithful, not just in the victory, but in the struggle. So when the resistance intensifies, when the nights grow longer, the opposition grows louder, and the way forward seems harder, don't misinterpret it as a sign to quit. See it for what it is. Evidence that you are on the verge of stepping into something big. God allows the resistance not to break you, but to prove to you and everyone watching that the blessing was never about your strength, but about his sovereignty. Because when the blessing finally comes, the resistance will only make the testimony sweeter. When God is about to give you something big, something powerful, something that will shift the direction of your life, one of the clearest signs you'll begin to notice is a shift in your spirit. Before the blessing shows up in your hands, God starts working on your heart long before the breakthrough arrives on your doorstep. He starts preparing your mindset, adjusting your attitude, and realigning your perspective. Because the truth is, God's greatest work doesn't start in your circumstances. It starts in you. When a shift in your spirit happens, you may not be able to fully explain it to anyone else, but you will feel it deep down in your bones. You'll sense a holy discomfort with the things you used to settle for. The old habits, the old thinking patterns, the old ways of handling challenges will no longer sit right with you. You'll find yourself craving more of God, hungering for His word, leaning in with a new level of expectation, even before anything in your life changes on the outside. That's the Spirit of God stirring you for the new thing that's about to unfold. This shift in your spirit often shows up in the form of peace that doesn't make sense. Everything around you might still look like the same struggle, the same weight, the same silence, but deep in your heart, you'll know change is coming. You'll wake up with new determination. You'll pray with more confidence. You'll start preparing, not because the opportunity is visible yet, but because your spirit knows it's on the way. God plants a sense of anticipation in you as a sign that the blessing is moving toward you even when you can't yet see it. That shift will also begin to change the way you speak, the way you believe, and the way you respond to challenges. What used to discourage you no longer shakes you the same way, because you know God is working even in the delay. What used to intimidate you now strengthens you because you recognize the hand of God shaping your story. That shift matures you before the blessing manifests, because God will never give you a gift that your character isn't strong enough to carry. He will grow your faith before He expands your territory. And here's the beauty of it. This shift is personal. Nobody else may see the evidence yet, but you'll feel it. God will start speaking to you in new ways. He'll highlight scriptures that speak directly to your season. He'll give you dreams, confirmations, and quiet whispers that remind you the time is near. You will begin to walk like someone who already has the blessing, even before you physically receive it, because faith will rise up in you and transform your waiting into preparation. So if you've been feeling that stirring in your spirit, that quiet but undeniable shift inside you, don't ignore it. That's God's way of letting you know He's about to release something into your life that will exceed your expectations. He's shaping your heart to match the size of the blessing. Because when your spirit is ready, the breakthrough won't catch you off guard. It will meet you standing tall, expectant, and prepared.